Hi everyone, I'm Bronwyn from Gallery 2, and welcome to your take-home art kit. Your art kit contains all the materials that you need to create 2 activities inspired by the exhibitions currently on display at Gallery 2. We're going to be creating a needle-felted fox inspired by Veronica Verkley's Second Nature Resilience, and a 3D house sculpture inspired by Timber Lumber Wood Home by Fern Helfand. If you didn't get a take-home art kit, I've linked down below in the description supplies and resources to complete these activities. Let's get started. In your take-home art kit, you're going to find the following supplies: a needle felting foam block and 2 felting needles, a brown envelope which contains the felting wool, 2 pipe cleaners, some paper cutouts, and a glue stick. In order to create our needle felted fox, you're going to need the foam block and the felting needles, the pipe cleaner, and the felting wool. We're going to start by getting our supplies ready to create our needle felted fox. At the top of your needle felting foam, you're going to notice the 2 felting needles that I've stuck inside the foam to keep them safe. Now these felting needles are very sharp, so you want to make sure that you have an adult supervising you as you use them, because you do not want to poke yourself with one of those needles. So we'll start by opening our felting foam and carefully take out those 2 needles. Now you'll probably only need 1, but I included 2 just in case one of them happens to break. So we're going to just put the other one aside for now. And you can just stick your needle in the top of your foam just to keep it safe and to make sure that you don't poke yourself. We'll also take out our felting wool. So you can open your envelope. So we got our felting wool, our felting block, and then we also have our pipe cleaners. And we're going to use the pipe cleaners to create a little bit of a frame for our fox, and we'll needle felt around it. And it's also going to allow us to be able to move the legs and the tail of our fox. So we're going to start by creating a little head. And so just bend the tip of your pipe cleaner down. This is about just over an inch, I would say, a couple centimeters. And then we're going to have our body. Well, he's going to have a little bit of a neck, because what we're going to do is that we're going to have our fox so that he's standing on all 4s. We'll create a little bit of a neck and have a little bit of a body, and then I'm going to bend down, and this is going to be his tail. But you can see his tail is a little long, so I'm just going to take just some scissors and I'll just cut a little bit off. There we go. That's good enough for a tail. So that's going to be his little tail. But now he needs his legs. So we'll take our other pipe cleaner, and we're just going to wrap the pipe cleaner around like that. And we'll cut it so that the legs are the same size. There we go. So that's 1 pair of legs. But he needs his second pair of legs. So now we have our frame, we can start needle felting. So with needle felting, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking felting wool like this, and we're going to be poking it on our block with our felting needle lots of times. And what it's going to do is that it's going to take all these tiny fibers that are in the wool, and it's going to make them get smaller and smaller and smaller and tighter so that we can create a sculpture. So let's start with, we're going to start with the nose and the head of our fox. So put your little guy on your felting block, and we're going to start with our white fibers. So we're going to carefully pull apart just a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our white wool, and we're going to, just a little bit, just not very much, and we're going to wrap it around the nose of our fox. So then what we do is we're going to lay him down on the block, and we're going to take our felting needle, and we're going to very carefully start to poke that wool. And you're going to notice that it's going to start to kind of come together. You can already see it already, how it's starting to create little tiny holes, and it's starting to make those fibers come together. We'll flip them over and do the other side. But like I said, you want to be very careful because these needles are very sharp. You definitely don't want to poke your finger. So if you need help, get someone to help you. But if you go nice and slow, you'll get the hang of it and you won't poke your finger. Now for the body of our fox, we have some orange as well as we have this lighter brown. Now if you want, you can choose just one of the colors, or you can try blend them together, which is what I'm going to do. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a little bit of orange and just carefully tease it apart. There we go. See, not very much. And take a little bit of the orange, or the brown, sorry. And I'm gonna just kind of put them together like that. And then I'm gonna start to wrap this around what's gonna be his head. There we go. And down his neck. And we're gonna just poke that with our needle. There we go. And just kind of tighten it up so that it actually stays on his pipe cleaner body. Take a little bit of the orange, a little bit of the brown. You can even, if you want to really blend it, you can even pull these apart and really blend them in together like that. Pull them apart, and then there we go, like that. I think the blending is nice because it creates a little bit more dimension on our fox. But you can use just the brown or just the orange if you like. Oops. Okay, wrap him around through the legs as well. Oops. And this might get a little bit fiddly, but just take your time and it'll start to come together. And the pipe cleaners, even if he's kind of getting all twisted, that's okay. You just twist it back. And then we'll felt this in. And so we're just going to continue wrapping even down the tail. And then at the very tip of the tail, we're just going to take a little bit of white and give him the white tip. And I'm very excited at the end, I'm going to show you how to give your fox a really nice fluffy tail. But we're just laying down this base layer. Okay, so that's the base for his body. We're just gonna do a little bit on his legs. So we're just gonna grab our dark brown and we're just gonna do the exact same thing that we've been doing. Just take a little bit and we'll start to beef up his legs. So we'll start from the bottom. And we're gonna do that on all 4 of the legs, adding the brown almost to the top, and then we're gonna add some of that orange and brown at the top there. All right, now we're just gonna add a little bit more of our orange-brown combo to the tops of the legs. All right, so now we have a very skinny looking fox, and now we can start to add some more bulk to his body. So we're gonna start with the head, I think. So we're just gonna do the same thing that we've been doing and just keep adding more and more bulk to our fox. And we're gonna just add a lot more bulk to his head. And just wrap your felt around, like so. And every time you add some of the felting wool, just needle it in. We'll still need to bulk up the head a bit more, but I'm going to work my way down the body as well. So the head is coming along really well, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit more bulk on the side of his face. And what I'm going to do, the way I'm going to do that, is I'm going to take just a little bit of wool, not much, and I'm going to roll it into a little ball, like so. And we're going to felt that into a little oval. Just give that a little needle. And then we're going to take our little ball that we've created and we're going to just kind of add it right to the side of his face. And we're going to needle that in to join the two pieces. Just so that we can create a little bit more shape on his head. That looks good. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. Oopsies. Don't go anywhere, Mr. Fox. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side, just the littlest bit. You don't need very much. And then you're going to see that you can definitely see that we've added those two pieces. And so in order to blend those together a little better, take just the littlest bit. You don't need much. I'm going to add a little more orange though in here. Just a little bit. And just lay that right over top of his head and felt that in, and it'll just help to blend it all together. There we go. I'm just going to add a little bit more though to his body. I think he looks pretty good. So now we're going to give him a little bit of a white underbelly. So take your white, pull some out, and what we're going to do, we're going to start with just a little bit. We can always add more. We're going to turn our little fox on his back, and we're going to add some white right up to the nose, his little snout, and just add the white in there. Just needle that in carefully. And we're just going to work our way down and add this white to his belly. think that looks pretty good. Now we're gonna add he needs some ears and a little face. So we'll start with the ears, and we're gonna take some of our orange and our brown. We'll put him to the side just for a minute. So take a strip, fold it in half, and start to needle felt this top part into a square type shape. Just carefully. You can flip it over because it's going to start to stick into your foam. Flip it over and do the same thing. And then start to kind of bend over the sides a little bit, and we're going to start to create a pointy end, a little triangle shape to create an ear. Now this may take a few times to get, can be a little fiddly, but you'll get there. There we go, we start to form a bit of a ear shape there at the top. See, there we go, we start to see a bit of an ear forming. And we're going to do this a second time. And so we're going to add a little bit to create some dimension, we're going to take just the littlest bit of brown, of the dark brown, and needle felt that into the center of the ear. And then to add even more dimension, we're going to take just the littlest bit of white as well and add a little bit of a white tuft of fur inside. All right, so now we need to attach this to our fox. We're actually going to take our scissors and just trim off just a little bit of this excess. We don't need it all there. And now we're going to place the ear on his head and carefully felt that into place. You can start by just roughly placing it on, and then you can always clean it up. We're going to give him a little nose and some eyes. To create his nose, we're going to take just the littlest bit, and we're going to carefully try and roll it into a ball. Now this is really tiny. Carefully needle that into a ball shape. And then we're going to add it to his nose. And whoopsies, this might be a little bit finicky, but we're going to needle felt this into his nose. And now we're going to do the exact same thing as we did with the nose to create his little eyes. So just take a little bit of the black or a little bit of the brown, and actually what we're going to do is we're just going to put it laid across his face. Oops. And poke it in like this. Carefully poke it in and carefully just add, felt the little ends into that hole, just like that. You gotta be patient, but it will come together. See, his eye is already forming. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Take just a little bit of black, or a little bit of brown, sorry. Take a little bit of brown, put it on the side of his head. Poke it in where you want the eye to be, and then just needle felt the remaining bit into his eye. Now what I'm going to do, just to add a little bit of sparkle to his eye, is I'm going to take the tiniest bit of white, just the tiniest bit, and I'm going to put a little white sparkle in his eye. There we go. There's his little head. He looks so cute. So now all we got to do is finish his tail. So to create a fluffy tail, we're going to start by taking some white and we're going to lay it flat. Well, we're going to lay it over top of the tip of the tail, like that. And we're going to needle that into the tail. And then we'll flip it over and take another piece, lay that over top, and then needle that in. And then we're going to lightly, tease this up and needle that in. So there's his fluffy white tip of his tail. And now, to create some dimension, I'm going to take the dark brown and just take just the littlest bit and lay that over top on the tip and needle that in. And take another little bit, like so, and needle that. And then we can tease that up very lightly to create a bit of dimension on his tail. There we go. I might add a little bit more of this dark brown on some of these sides that look a little bit bare. And now we're going to continue that technique down his tail using our orange and light brown. And then I'm just going to needle felt this in just a little bit so that we have a little bit of shape to his tail. And I'm going to actually pull out some of this orange here so that we can see that white a little better. And just felt that in a little bit, give it some shape, but we still want it to be nice and fluffy. Just like that. And you can just do a little bit of cleanup wherever you want to, but I think this guy is pretty much done. I think he looks absolutely adorable. What do you guys think? I love his fluffy tail. So see, he can sit. He can also stand on all fours if he wants. But I actually like it with him sitting. I think that looks cute. The nice thing about this project is that there's actually lots of wool left over, so you can create another fox or any other woodland creature that you might like. So for our next activity, we're going to be creating our 3D house sculptures, and this one is inspired by Fern Helfand's exhibition called Timber Lumber Wood Home. First, we're going to start by actually decorating our house. Now, you don't have to decorate your house if you don't want to, but it's best to do the decorations before we construct the house. And you can use any materials that you might have at home. You could use paint or pencil crayons, felt tip markers. I'm going to be using crayons. First, I'm going to start by putting my little trees to the side. We'll decorate those afterwards. And I'm going to start by decorating my house. So if you look at your paper cutout, the section here that has the big square at the bottom, that's the front of the house. So I'm going to start by putting in a door and some windows. I'm going to take some pink, add a nice little roof detail here. And I just realized that, so these two smaller rectangles here are going to be the sides of your house. So I'm going to continue my little roof detail, continue that roof detail along the sides as well. These two squares right here are going to be the actual roof of your house. So I'm going to continue that detail all the way up. I'm going to add a few more windows actually to the sides of my house. And then I think the last thing I'm going to do is along the bottom of my house, I'm going to add some flowers. I think that looks really good. I'm really happy with how this turned out. So now we get to do the fun part of actually assembling the house. You'll notice on your paper that there's pencil lines, and that's where we're going to be folding the paper in order to construct our house. Now, a good tip to get a nice crisp fold line is to use actually a ruler or something else that has a nice straight edge. And I'll show you what we're going to do. So we have one of our fold lines right here. And if you put your ruler right up against the fold line and hold it there, you can flip up that tab and you get a nice clean line. And so actually we're going to be folding these now back on themselves. There we go. So now we got our first fold. And so we're going to do that for all of our pencil lines. All right, and so now we're actually going to bend those folds backwards on themselves. So it's going to start to look like this, and if you fold it over to the side where you haven't decorated, you'll see that all of the tabs are pointing upwards. Now I like to start by gluing the base together. So this rectangle at the bottom here is going to be the base of our house. And so if you flip it over, and we'll take our glue stick, and we'll start by gluing around the edge of the base. And then along this bottom edge, these 3 tabs, those are going to attach to our base. So we want to put some glue on those tabs as well. And now this is going to be a bit fiddly because this glue does take a little bit of time to dry. So you may have to hold some things in place for a few minutes while they start to secure themselves. But you're going to fold your paper now inwards onto that bottom of your house. Just press it down. And if this gets too fiddly for you, just get someone else to do it for you. And then what I'm actually doing is I'm just kind of very lightly pressing down so that the glue is able to adhere to itself. And I'm just going to give that a few moments to dry before we move on to the next part. So the base is now dried. It's been a few minutes. Now we can start to glue the side of the house. So carefully apply glue to the inside of this wall. There we go. And on this tab. And just squeeze that together. And now we're going to do the roof. All right, so for the roof, we're just going to apply glue to each of these tabs. And so we'll start to put the roof together. Tuck those tabs in. And then the other side of the roof, tuck that in as well. And we'll hold that together. So while our house is drying, we can get to work on our trees. So in your art kit, you will see that you have 4 cutouts of trees. And you'll notice that 2 of them have cuts that are coming from the base of the tree, and 2 of them have cuts that are coming from the top of the tree. And that's because we're going to be slotting them together in order to create some 3D trees. Just like our house, we're going to decorate our trees. You can use anything you like. You can use paint, pencil crayons, felt tip markers. I'm going to use the same crayons like I did with my house. You want to make sure that when you create your trees that you have one that has the cut from the bottom and one that has the cut from the top, so that you have 2 trees. And there we go. I think these look really good. So all we need to do now is to take one that has the cut from the bottom and the one from the top and slot them together to create your 3D tree. Just like that. You may have to adjust them so that they stand up straight. There we go. Just slot them together like that. And there you go. We have our little 3D trees. And here's my house, fully dried. I think it looks really good. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm so happy with how my needle felted fox and my house sculpture turned out. I really hope you enjoyed doing these activities too. Be sure to send pictures of your work to us at programs@g2gf.ca.